again, everybody. Welcome to Lions Pride for this installment. I'm Danny Daniels. With us today is the team chaplain. Is that what we're calling?
Well, I'm the campus pastor and director of spiritual life at Emmanuel, so that's my official title and role, but involved with the teams and cheering for them every chance I get.
This is Chris Maxwell, of course. Pastor Chris is most everybody here on campus knows him. How'd you get this job? Did you go to school here, or how did you end up here?
Well, I did go to school at Emmanuel College, graduated from Emmanuel School of Christian Ministries in '82. Then lived in Orlando, Florida for many years. I was a youth pastor for 5 years, then pastored a church for almost 20 years in Orlando. So that's where my wife Debbie and I raised our 3 sons. And never planned on moving back to Georgia. Never planned on coming back and working at Emmanuel. I loved pastoring, and I was writing also during that time. And when I was involved in coming to speak at Emmanuel every few years, and I stayed in touch with the people who worked here. But yeah, they offered me the job, and initially I wasn't going to take it, but the more I thought about it, it was just an honor to be invited to come here and serve as campus pastor and be a positive influence in the lives of the college students.
Coincidentally, I was in Orlando last weekend.
Oh,
I can't afford to do anything but pass through there. That's an expensive place to go to Disney World. All right, you said you were writing. What were you writing?
Well, I've been a writer for most of my life. When I was a college student, I was writing a column for our newspaper, and then in my early years of pastoring, I was writing book reviews and music reviews for a variety of magazine articles, and then I started writing curriculum, and then started writing devotionals, and so since that time, I've written 8 books. I have 8 books that I've written, and over 20-something books that I've been the editor or ghostwriter for.
Tell me about your family. I know you have one son that played basketball here.
Yeah, my wife Debbie and I have 3 sons. Our oldest son, Taylor, he and his wife live in Denver, Colorado, and they have 3 children.
I got a son in Denver.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they have 2 sons and a daughter. Our middle son, Aaron, he and his wife met here at Emmanuel College. They both attended Emmanuel, and they live in Dakar, Senegal, in West Africa, and then they have 2 sons. And then Graham. He played 4 years of basketball here at Emmanuel, and now he's the assistant coach.
And you talk about character, and I'm not saying it because you're his dad, but Graham, and I told him, one of my favorite players. Maybe not as athletically gifted as some of the others, but you won't find a bigger heart or more character in anybody.
Yeah, and he loves the game. He loves the relationships that it develops, and so he's married now to Jenny, and again, coaching is just something he can do that is sort of a match with his passion of not only basketball, but those student athletes.
Yeah, I love what you're doing with your hair now. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
It's pretty good style.
Yeah, I colored mine, and I couldn't decide what color, so I decided on silver.
Okay.
So it took forever. What's your job? Your responsibilities as team chaplain?
Well, as campus pastor at Emmanuel, I've got a lot of different responsibilities. I do a lot of one-on-one pastoral care and counseling with students, but also with faculty and staff. I'm in charge of the spiritual life committee. I plan the chapel services, but I have a team that I partner with to put those together with the president and the committee and many other people. I teach the spiritual formation class, and again, most of my time is relational, spending time with the students and faculty and staff. I love the events, and I love the chapel services and all that we're doing, but just going to the ball games, just like the last few days, going to the baseball games, and then going to one game and another, and seeing the student athletes and seeing them in their element. I love watching them play their sport that they're good at, and I was talking to several of the baseball players last night after their game, and just like, man, you played a good game. I just like seeing what they're talented in doing and how they're continuing to grow and develop in their giftings.
Do these kids seek you out for counseling, or do you hear a problem and maybe schedule an appointment to talk to them?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I see the students sometimes because we work together in planning the chapel services. So those are some of the appointments. Some of them are in my class. They know me that way, but most of them are students who need to come to see me for pastoral care, and they choose that. And others have made some poor decisions in life, and they need someone to talk to that can just be there for them.
Can you give us some idea of what things you're talking about, or what things you've encountered with these kids?
Yeah, well, I can't be specific about
Yeah,
those that I'm seeing, but honestly, it's what so many of us are going through. I
yeah,
mean, you face it, I face it. We face life disappointments. We face times of emotional struggle. We face pains from the past, and there are many students that come here carrying the luggage of pain from the past, and that past pain becomes present realities because it can affect them in the classroom, and relationships, and their spiritual adventure with the Lord. And we want to identify what some of the causes are, and not just notice the effects, but identify the causes and get help. And sometimes they come and talk to me, and I refer them on to seek other help. And again, the big thing that so many people need, not just students, but all of us,
yeah,
we need people who will care for us
yeah.
and to just be there and listen to our stories and help us find the best paths to take.
I lost my wife to cancer 5 years ago, and that was really, really tough. And it had been for prayer and people like you that I talked to,
Yeah.
I don't know if I made it.
Well, sorry that you had to go through that, but I'm glad you were able to respond by seeking help. But so many times in life, we try to live in the singular. We try to live life alone, and
Yeah,
that's not what we're wired for. That's not how we're made.
yeah.
We need to be in the plural. We need to sit at a table, just like you and I are doing, have conversations, and be honest and transparent. Instead of holding things in, just like hiding from reality, let's face what we're going through and let people be there to help us in the journey.
And when that happened, I tried to deal with it, and I was trying to be strong for our kids, but I found out that I kept a lot in me,
Mm.
and mostly it was anger.
Oh yeah.
And I know there's stages of grief, so I know you got to be a treasure to people that have to deal with these things.
And so many people are going through those stages of grief, but the grief not just after a death, but the
Yeah,
grief of the living, because many people have changed because of a disease or a life struggle, something has happened, and that brings a different type of grief. But we go through those stages, and again, we need somebody to be there with us that we can talk to.
of course, Emmanuel, an institution built on a mission statement, I guess. Is it thrilling for you to be able to work with coaches who believe and have confidence in what you're doing?
Oh yeah, and I love it because I do love sports. There's this one outlet for me that I like personally. But the coaches have a big influence on our student athletes.
Oh
They
yeah,
spend a lot of time with them. You think, I mean, you just put in all the hours of practice and then the personal prep work that you're having to do to get ready and to improve, and then the games, before games, after games, during the games. It's just like this is a big budget of their time, and the coaches are the faces, they're the voices, they're the minds that are leading these student athletes. So I've told the coaches, hey, listen, I'm here to help. I don't want to coach the game. I'm going to cheer for you. I'm not going to tell you how to do the sport. That's your area of expertise. But what I want to do is to be available if you need somebody to encourage or do a devotional with your student athletes, or just be there. However I can help you and your team, please let me know. That's been what I've said to the coaches, and I do want to help them because I see the heavy weight they carry of all that they're trying to accomplish. And how can we be the best that we can be in each sport, but stay true to our name, Emmanuel, God with us. And that's part of the dialogue we continue having.
I know in high schools, a lot of coaches are surrogate fathers or surrogate mothers because they come from a one household, one parent family. Here, you're dealing with kids who are from Africa or Spain or whatever, and are thousands of miles from home.
Yeah.
They got to get lonely and need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, you're right. And we want to invite them into the conversation. And I love it when I say, because honestly, we have such a great group of faculty and staff here who are willing to be not only those who are teaching them in their discipline at the classroom, but also to be there to listen and to care. And that's what we want Emmanuel to be. We want it to be a place of learning and development because it's a college, it's an institution for education, for higher education. But we want to create that environment of conversation, dialogue, community, authenticity, and spiritual formation.
We're talking with Reverend Chris Maxwell, our Pastor Chris, as he's known here on campus. You mentioned something a while ago, and we'll skim over if you don't want to talk about it, but you mentioned epilepsy.
Yes.
Has it been a big problem for you?
Yes, I was healthy. I mean, years ago when I was a student at Emmanuel, in my first years of pastoring, and as Debbie and I were raising our sons, I was healthy. I'd really never been sick much. It was just kind of always healthy. I was playing ball as much as I could and coaching, and I had encephalitis, and they did not think I would live from that. But I now live with epilepsy as a result of the severe scar tissue I have in the brain. They didn't think if I did live, I would ever be able to speak again or write again or do the things that I'm doing. But God's the one that's doing that through me. And so I'm very grateful. I'm seizure free. I'm able to drive. And now I travel around the world and tell my story and write because what I'm trying to do, just like I'm trying to do with the students here at Emmanuel, I want to be a voice of encouragement. And I'm trying to bring encouragement to people who are going through their own life disability or disease or some type of pain in their life adventure. How can I be a face that will bring a smile to them, ears that will listen, eyes that will see, and again, a voice that will give them hope? And that's what I'm trying to do. So I travel and speak for a pharmaceutical company and for my publishing company. And I'm in a lot of different outlets outside of Emmanuel where I'm speaking and trying to give that hope and encouragement to people who are going through a life-changing experience.
We're talking about your son, Graham, and the character that he displays every day. Is that really, you have a lot of that with students here, maybe a cut above a regular university. And I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but a lot of character here because there are a lot of born-again Christians here, and everybody seems to follow God's will. Or not everybody, but more than usual. Does that make it maybe a little easier for you?
Well, I don't know that easy would be the right word there because it is difficult because those who are followers of Christ and those who aren't, we all have our struggles, we all have our pain, and we hope to be able to mentor our students to find places of healing in their pain. And those that are able to step up and be good leaders, in my opinion, are not those that have never had a struggle, but those who can identify the struggle, deal with it correctly, and not try to fight it alone, but find help, find someone to sit beside and talk to, as we mentioned, and honestly, in the big picture, find the help of God. We do not stand on our beliefs just because it was a part of the original place that this institution was built upon. We believe this. We believe we are created in the image of God. Every student that I talk to, no matter what their struggle is, I'm looking at someone who's made in the image of God. I mean, that is like powerful. I want them to believe that. And I also believe in a God who gives us life guidelines that are not only His will, but they are best for us. And we hope to create that environment here at Emmanuel College so it can be the God with us life. So that He is not just something we do on a church service in a church facility somewhere. We want that. But we want it to be a part of every conversation, every ball game. And the times we lose, God is with us. The times we win, God is with us. The times we hear bad news, God is with us. The times we hear good news, we believe in the God with us life. And so as it relates to the students, some grasp it quickly, more quickly than others, but it is a journey. It is an adventure. Biblically it talks about this race. It's a marathon. It's an ongoing adventure. And let's not miss the moments. Each moment in this journey are very important for our spiritual growth and development.
I want your opinion because I respect it about this. Something I've written about it in several columns. But you're watching a football game. This guy lines up to kick a field goal that could win or lose the ball game. There's always that TV shot of players holding hands and praying. They're praying. I'm not sure what they're praying for. What's your take on that?
I know what they're praying for. They're praying, let's win.
Yeah.
Let it go in, and the other team's praying, he's got to miss it. Let's block it. And I'm not going to fuss about that, but God is so much bigger than that. He's worried about the character of the kicker. He's worried about the character of the player who's trying to block that kick than he is the outcome of the game. Personally, I want my team to win. But in the big picture, the larger questions are how will I respond if they win? How will I respond Christ-like character if they lose? And what is this doing to me as a person? How can I grow and develop through this? Now, our initial emotional response is not like that. It's the cheers and the boos and the ouch. Why did that happen? But thinking with a larger lens here of where is God in this? What is Jesus saying to me personally as my team loses or my team wins, or I don't like the call that was just made?
Yeah.
What is that doing to develop my personal character? Those are the big questions that we need to focus on.
There was one more question. It just eluded me. But where will you go? Do you set up appointments? Do you talk to kids individually? Like when you leave here today, will you go back to an office and wait for an appointment?
Well, I don't wait for the appointments. The appointments are scheduled.
Okay.
The students email me and tell me times they're available and work it into my schedule. So I'll see 6, 7, 8 students a day, and then I'll also meet with faculty and staff. And then, like this morning, I've had a morning of meetings and had some little time to be planning. I have a committee meeting later this afternoon, and then appointments with students, and I'll be at ball games later. So that's sort of my typical schedule. And then my other jobs, the writing and the speaking, I'll do those early in the morning and on weekends and at nights, and sometimes go home for lunch, and I'll be writing a story while I'm eating there at the house if I'm not eating here on campus. But I love all of those, the opportunities to speak in the lives of the students, but listen to their stories and to be a voice of encouragement to people who are finding some difficulty in their personal life also.
We're taping this on Friday, and the Emmanuel men play for a national title tomorrow night. I know you'd love to be in Indiana.
Oh yeah, it would be nice to be there, but I'll be here cheering them on and just hoping we get the victory.
All right, Pastor Chris, I appreciate it. Something that I've been wanting to do. You and I passed in the night down on the court and spoken for a couple of years now, and we appreciate the job you do here. And I can't think of a better person to have at Emmanuel College.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and I thank you for your work. Appreciate you putting forth this time and effort. It means a lot to us here at Emmanuel.
There's another question that's going to come to me. We may have to reschedule so I can ask you, but I can't think what it was. Anyway, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time.